Good afternoon, everybody. Eddie Webb. We are here at the New Media Lab at Mesa Community College for our new fall podcast series. We are super duper happy to have our guests today, Lindsay and Ginger and Keegan. And I'm going to have them introduce themselves.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ginger Leyendecker. I am faculty in the art department. I teach life drawing and art anatomy.
Hi there. I'm Lindsay Pedersen. I teach art history here at MCC, and I am also the art department chair currently.
My name's Keegan Shofa. I teach digital art, and I work at the New Media Lab.
Welcome. So I've been waiting to do this for a long time. These are my favorite people at MCC for sure. Both Keegan and I had the privilege of helping out for a minute in some art classes, and it was just really amazing experience. And now Keegan is a adjunct faculty in the art department. Couldn't be more happy for him. He's knocking it out of the park, as I knew he would. You know, he's the master of 3D space and all of the apps, but super talented young guy. Lindsay and I went through the leadership training together, and I was very fortunate to get to know you through that process, which I'm really glad, because I always thought, I thought it was different, and it was just so cool to get to know you and know that we share a lot of the same leadership values and concerns and all of that. It was just a great experience. And Ginger, thank you for always being a supporter of the New Media Lab and including us in your faculty. So really appreciate that. So the purpose of today's podcast is we're going to talk a lot about art. We're going to talk about art history. We're going to talk about the modernization of all of that through the lens of AI. Our first question:
what are some qualities that you would like to see in the students in our program as up-and-coming artists?
Well, for myself, I really like to see students who are enthusiastic and open-minded to new techniques. We have students from all different walks of life, some who have been creating art since they were young, and others who are retired and coming to art just for their own enjoyment and to enrich themselves. And it's really wonderful when they come to our classes ready to learn, ready to understand new techniques, and we really have a great time with those students.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on every single thing you said. And I would also say I like it when students come with a sense of curiosity and a willingness to take risks. Because, a lot of times in school today, when you're in K through 12, it's about let's get the right answer. And art is such a wonderful place to not have to have the right answer, but to seek and look for multiple answers. So I think along with what she said, definitely come with an open mind for sure. And, a willingness to be wrong maybe and learn as you go.
Yeah, we actually tell our students that failure isn't the opposite of success. It's a stepping stone, and it's actually mandatory that you fail many times on your way to success.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember being a young guy when I was, starting to learn how to write short stories or poems or song lyrics, and then moved into photography. I can remember elders in my dad's community talking about the high order that the artist has in society and how important it is to be an artist. It's not playtime. It's serious stuff. And I remember them saying things like, in 500 years from now, when the cultural anthropologists dig up our society, they don't dig up the accountants, they dig up the artists. And they want to know, what was in the public square. And I remember hearing things like art is meant to afflict the comfortable and comfort the afflicted. And I always really, really liked that. So there was always this sense of duty and to the community to be the best artists and storytellers that we could. And so that's always the context I've had for artists, And then there's this great lecture by Sir Ken Robinson from England. I don't know if you've ever heard it. and he talks about introducing creativity back into the classroom. Students, he was in a session with, she was drawing on a piece of paper while she was supposed to be listening and stuff, but she was drawing. And they asked her, what are you drawing? And she said, oh, I'm drawing a picture of God. And he said, well, nobody knows what God looks like. And she said, they will in a minute.
That's awesome.
I've always loved that. And so how do you guys infuse that culture of, like art it's important to our society?
I think those are really good points, Eddie. When we think about it, it's never been more important for artists to use their voices, because art is what creates our culture, our popular culture, our embedded culture, and our culture is what creates humanity itself. So artists have the unique opportunity to change our culture, to change our humanity for the better. That's important.
It's really important. I think especially now, I think it's easy, especially for young people, it's easy to feel like there's no way you can make a difference right now. Everything seems beyond your control, might seem overwhelming. And art can be a way of affecting that. Art also, I think, like the process of making art is about knowing. Leonardo da Vinci said that, right? He used his art not just to make a beautiful thing or a compelling thing to look at, but it helped him engage in the world and understand the world. So it's not just about, what your final result is, but also what you're getting through the process.
I've found that art is largely about communication. Mm-hmm. Like we're communicating things that we can't communicate with words, unless you're speaking about poetry, of course. That's a whole nother art form. But the things that we need to talk about in the world today aren't always able to be inferred or communicated through words and speech, because language is another medium, and each medium has limitations. And so to really communicate things, you get to another medium.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point.
And even combining the mediums, art, music, dance, theater, fine and performing arts together, and the myriad of types of visual arts can help you get your idea across in ways that you maybe couldn't otherwise.
And it's also so subjective because it's so specific to the individual person, where you can communicate something through dance, and one person in the audience can be bawling their eyes out and absolutely love it, and then the next person is like, this doesn't speak to me. Mm-hmm. And that's just art.
We kind of experienced that yesterday with the documentaries we showed.
Oh, yeah.
The visual representation, I had never had a class that was so critical, and it really opened my eyes to perspective. It's I bring my perspective, I think you're going to get from showing this, and you go, well, I don't really relate to that. And I was like, oh, interesting. I like that, But can you kind of walk us through your culture? I mean, somebody comes over to go, hey, I want to be an artist, or they show up and they're already an artist. I said, well, talk to us about your culture. Like, what are the first steps when you enroll at MCC Art?
Well, we have different programs. We have fine arts, we have a variety of digital arts, including animation, illustration, graphic design, photography, and of course we have many art history classes. So it's going to be a little different for each. The students kind of follow a pathway. But I think what we do in the visual arts classes is we start with technique. We want to give them a strong foundation in technique, because they come full of conceptual ideas, but they might not know how to express them. So starting with technique and building their foundation allows them to be able to express their concepts as they get into the more advanced classes.
Yeah, and I think another important thing about our department is we want to create a culture where the students feel like they can be, right? You can come here and you can be part of our art club. You can come and hang out in the art library and talk with like-minded people. So there's the learning that happens in the classroom, and then I think we try to really kind of make people know there's a space for them. And our gallery becomes kind of an extension of our program as well. So I think it's certainly about giving them excellence in the classroom, but also asking them to be able to expand that on their lives. And in the art history classes, it's also about maybe being a little bit reflective about how art plays a role in your life and others' lives, not just about how you make it, but, what are the ramifications of putting something out there in the world? How does it make meaning, and how does it mean differently to different people? And so I think we really try to promote that idea in students as well. So, kind of think critically about why art is out there, why it's so important across time and across cultures, and, what is your role in that as you engage in that?
Good point. And we also provide really fun opportunities for them, like the Festival of the Arts and the Holiday Art Market, so the students can not only show their work, but they can sell it as well.
We will link the calendar for the gallery.
Oh, great.
In this podcast.
Yeah.
Ever since I was a little kid, I love going to museums and looking at art. There's a real famous museum in Tulsa, Oklahoma called the Gilchrist Museum. And they hold tons of indigenous artifacts and paintings and all kinds of really amazing pieces there. And I used to go and sit on a bench, and they had a series of buffalo hides where, someone had painted Custer, what happened to Custer, or, the Great Law of Peace, or these different kinds of historical events. And I would just sit there until I could connect with whoever painted that I could feel the story. It looks simple at first, people, and one standing up, now they're falling down, they got red on them, But to really sit there and take that in is something I still do to this day. I love going by myself, just finding a piece and just sit there. I can sit there for a long time until you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I start to get into
absolutely.
the flow of what the artist was saying, Since Keegan is here, so many kids in your department, young people in your, young art.
Young and old alike, right?
Yeah, young and old emerging artists are over here all the time hanging out. And these guys,
Well, I'd like to encourage you both to go see what's in the gallery now. We've got a really nice abstract show. And if you want to sit on a bench and just contemplate, there's some really amazing pieces in there.
Help our listeners understand what abstracted art means.
It means non-representational. So there's not a narrative. They're not drawing a person or a landscape or a thing. There might be patterns and colors, and they're thinking about composition and the flow of the work. I would say that a narrative piece of work kind of gives you the story, but an abstract work kind of taps into your emotions, and it's going to be really different for each person. I think Lindsay might be able to explain it.
Oh, I think you did a really good job with it, actually. But but I think the idea of abstract art is that it's not representational, as Ginger said, and it's really like fully engaging in the visual elements and the principles of design rather than making concrete meaning.
Mm-hmm.
So try a portrait or something.
Yeah, so a portrait would be representational, right? Because it represents a person. But abstract might just be nothing but a series of lines and dots. It might just be nothing but fields of color kind of merging into one another. But it can be equally meaningful and important to an individual.
Unrestricted by reality. True analogous communication.
I like that.
Yeah. And it definitely takes that slow look. It's kind of like there was the slow food movement. I think that abstract art is like the slow art movement. You have to stop and let it kind of seep in.
It's sort of a couple steps beyond found art.
Oh, there you go.
Going out into the woods and find a rock that's happy. Find a rock that's upset. And you find these things, and it's finding meaning through shape. Yeah.
I have a collection of heart rocks that I found over the years, and I used to collect them in all. Anytime I went to a different country, I'd always try to find one from that country, and I had a box. I don't know where they're at. Do you all have a favorite artist?
Right now, I'm really into Audrey Del Rocio. She's an artist from Mexico who does murals. I encourage everyone to look her up. They're really amazing and inspiring and colorful.
People ask me this all the time, and I say this half jokingly, but it's actually true. Whatever it is that I am teaching at the moment, whatever I have in front of me on the screen that I'm interacting with students about, tends to be my favorite. even if I don't respond to it in the visual sense, I'm so fascinated by everything around the art. But my students would probably say, yeah, but we also know that you love Bernini because there's something about the Baroque period with the intensity of emotion and drama and theatricality that's in it that, and it's like, if you look at Renaissance art, which I also love, there's a wall between you and the art. But when you look at Baroque art, that is broken down. And so you have art that is pushing into your space and kind of forcing you to be part of it. To me, that's really, it reaches me and it engages me. And so I don't really have a favorite, but the Baroque period is really far up there.
Can you do a little more for our listener about help us understand what that feels like and means?
What it feels like?
Yeah. Or
means so sort of like if you're thinking about, like, you're looking at a statue, right? And it's all white. And you're like, oh, that's a sculpture because it's art history. And I'm going to look around and I'm going to move around all the sides of it. And it's going to just stay in its own little, almost like it has an invisible box around it. But if you look at a Bernini, it's like stretching out into your space. The figure is twisted and contorted. And you look at it and it makes you want to walk around it and see it from all sides, because it pulls you in and you feel like, oh, there's more. And so it can actually like physically put you in motion, and it can give you kind of those psychological feelings of, like you're almost echoing the motion in a sense. And to me, that's a really powerful thing for art to be able to achieve. I'm talking with my hands here.
Yeah.
I'm being my own Baroque sculpture here.
So the moment we've all been waiting for. AI. We had an amazing summer, another amazing summer with the ACE students. We created a short documentary. We used AI to create some images. So our topic was around, what was it, like Latino culture? Or
we prompted it with with Mexican food.
Yeah.
Ooh.
We were like, tell us what enchiladas sounds like to you. And it was
nice.
it made a beat.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I thought it was cool. We had the whole menu on there.
Get us some green chili. Okay, this is what it sounds like when there's green chili on this track.
Yeah. And I think you could pick a track like percussion or
and you can increase
piano.
or decrease the sliders of how much of this influence you want.
Was it hot green chili or mild?
Yeah. See, that would enter into it.
Hatch green chili.
Yeah. So AI can create images, but is it fair to call it art? If it can't think or understand the imagery, is it producing? What do you guys think? Is it art if it can't breathe and think?
So it's super interesting because what I've found is that when AI first started coming out and you could make images, it was like, oh, now anyone can be an artist and we don't need to learn techniques anymore. All artists are just going to be giving prompts. And then shortly afterwards, people came to not appreciate that. They're like, oh, cool, you made that. It's AI. It's obviously AI. And now we're finding students really want to, and people are really appreciating the craft of it, learning how, for instance, I teach life drawing and art anatomy, understanding the proportions, understanding the techniques, understanding how to make a figure, doing something, or a portrait or whatever. And we're appreciating people's skills and their creativity. And so, I think it's just like any other tool. Lindsay and I were talking yesterday about it, and she brought up, like, everyone thought painting was dead when photography came out because you don't have to paint a portrait. You can just take someone's portrait. But people, I think, appreciate painted portraits even more because of that. And I think we're kind of running into the same thing. What do you think? What do you all think?
Well, I agree with you, obviously, since we were having the conversation, but also, when we talk about is something art, part of it is about the person who's producing it or whatever, the AI that's producing it, but it's also what we bring as viewers, what we bring as humans to the work. So the whole idea of something being art or not art, it's an age-old question, right? I mean, like when Duchamp took his urinal and he stuck it on a pedestal and said, "This is art because I'm an artist and I say it is." It raises those questions. And while I don't think there's a concrete answer to it, I think the question itself is so important. What do we want from art? What do we want art to be? Do we want art to be everything? Because then when it's everything, it's like in The Incredibles, right? If everyone's special, then nobody's special. So I think that the question's hard to concretely answer, but I also think that it's not just about how the object was made. It's also about what is its importance, and how is it helping us connect to who we are as humans. So yeah, I think there's definitely a place for people making art. And I think, like Ginger said, I think there's a great appreciation now for the actual process. But I think also it's what are we bringing to it? What is the viewer share? What is the user share, as well as the creator share in it?
What are you finding as a digital artist, Keegan?
Art, I've always found as we're taking mediums and we're communicating things analogously. And so when we create something, what we're doing is we're interpreting the world, and then we're combining that with something, some material that exists, and we pass it to another person, almost like we're passing notes between Plato's cave to each other's caves. I don't know that I see that AI can generate art so much as maybe an artist could work like a producer. Mm-hmm. Because you have music producers that work with bands, and the bands produce the music. They're the artists. But the producer is still doing a lot of work. And so you can prompt things and you can create very, very beautiful artistic works. But I feel like it's more of a you're in the producer role if you're prompting something to write. Almost like having a team of digital elves. Does that make you the artist, or does that make the digital elves the artists?
And probably yes to all of that, right? Yeah.
And I think the one element that always needs to be in the narrative at a college, especially a public college, is that AI actually offers ways for people that don't have those skills to participate in creating some form of art. I think that's the one variable that all the AI guys, the corporation, that they're looking at. This opens doors for people who are not, gifted in that way.
It can spark creativity.
It can spark, and places to share it. But like you said, it's still not, the original artist, the person that, that's the art. Because I'm seeing it not only in images that we've created in here, but I see it in the writing. Like my eye is starting to pick up every time I see someone has ran it through chat. I'm starting to see it now because it all is very familiar.
We're hearing that artist's voice.
Yeah, and that's what scares me is it's taking away our individual expression and sort of herding us all into this one way of what art looks like, or what language sounds like, or what music sounds like. That's a little alarming, yeah.
And if you think about what AI trains on, it's getting trained by the things that are out on the internet, by the most popular things. So the most popular artists, or whoever's mentioned the most, those are the things that get scraped more than any others. So it starts to look like a specific style. It's because it's getting, more hits off of specific artists and specific art styles. And so it's not getting the small local artists' work or traditional things. It's getting like popular cultures things or art historical things that are out there. And so like, what is it getting trained on? How do you protect your work if you don't want it to train on your work? It's a whole conundrum for artists now.
There's this interesting concept where your voice to text on your phone will pick up certain words better than others. The way you word things, even in Google keyword searches. And so you change the way that you would explain something to have it be picked up by the voice to text or the Google algorithm. And that shapes the way that you communicate. If we are creating things that we see through AI, and then AI trains on that, we're really assimilating to this other voice, this other way of writing something, this other way of creating something.
And as soon as it starts training on itself, it starts to disintegrate. So it needs us.
Well, we saw that recently on YouTube. YouTube started doing this with shorts without letting anybody know. They've been scaling down the videos, compressing them, and then upscaling them in your phone using AI. But it's created weird artifacts because they keep training it back on itself. And so everybody looks like they're glossy and covered in like cellophane. And it just doesn't work.
Oh no, they are.
Yeah.
They are.
Oh, what I'm seeing is real. Got it.
Yeah, it's a real challenge, I think, too, because we all like shortcuts, right? We like the frozen dinner that you can stick in the microwave so you have it, ready in no time, but you've lost all of that process as well, so what we can gain in taking some of those shortcuts can, I think, actually take away the part that brings the most to us.
I agree. Yeah.
But
the pendulum's swinging all the time.
Absolutely.
And what I worry about is the future of, an artificial life experience.
Yeah.
Instead of actually, going to the Mississippi River, going to the Salmon River, or go see the Rockies or Glacier or the beach or whatever. People are starting to do it, in 3D space, wearing,
Yeah, the VR headsets.
Yeah, the VR
like the
headsets.
holodeck.
Yeah,
The Enterprise.
Yeah. I mean, that's scary that the people with a lot of money and influence are really nudging, America in that direction in many ways, and not. We're humans. We need to be living, breathing, exchanging communities. Do you find yourself creating works in a particular style or an art movement?
Well, it's interesting that we're talking about AI because my last piece that was in the faculty show was called Oracle, and it was a triptych. It was a woman and they're with an eagle and a wolf, but on either side of her, there were two large hand-painted mandalas. And I drew them by hand and hand-painted them, and it took months. AI could make a mandala in less than 1 second. But it was about the process and about immersing myself in that creative process and in the materials and like really feeling it. And I really like doing large-scale works that are like cross-sections of the underground, works that have figures in them, works that are dream worlds. And again, I really like the large-scale works and kind of the anti-AI idea of creating art itself. I don't know if that answered your question.
Oh, yeah, it does. I mean, I think as the pendulum's swinging at the moment, I think there is that movement of artists wanting, the authenticity of the experience of the art, of making the art, just not the end result itself. And that's the culture that, we all love, whether you're, painting or writing or whatever, is to find that community and a voice in that community, I think what else is there really to be doing on the planet as a human,
I think that exercise was maybe similar to like you writing something with a pen and paper, just to get back into the roots.
I heard somebody came over here and told us that there was whole sections at ASU now where they don't allow any technology in the room. I mean, like your phone and your iPad, all that. Like you have to actually be present.
Yeah, there's a movement for that, I think, in some K through 12 places as well.
Oh.
And I think part of it is to really have you be in the moment, but also I'm not going to lie, I saw this on TikTok, but a student, there was a classroom full of middle school students, and a teacher just asked them to keep their phones on, and they had a big piece of stuff on the whiteboard or something, and they said, every time your phone gives you a notification, go up and make a tick mark. And so they went up and they found they had something like 925 interruptions collectively as a class in 10 minutes.
Wow.
So those aren't exactly the right numbers, but it was something like that. And it was just a real awareness moment, this person said, for her class. They realized how many times they were being pulled out of the moment just because their phone made a little noise. So I think that there's, just from a sheer being able to not have that device control you. So I think there's some really good things to be said for just getting unplugged for real.
Right before the semester started, I went on a retreat, and it was 4 nights, 5 days, no technology, no
Nice.
phones. I'm telling you, the first day and a half was horrible. and then all of a sudden, I was like, we were all sitting around a fire talking and breaking out guitars, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was like the next few days were just awesome. We were like, people were really interacting with each other. It was just magical, Kind of on what you were saying there. Do you all have an outreach programs like into our high school or elementary schools?
Oh, Ginger has been really amazing with that, so I'm going to let her field this question.
So we do have a high school outreach program where we go and talk to the high school art programs, and we talk to them about what we do here at MCC, why it's important to get your education, what it costs, how you can come to MCC for little to no money, the effects of education on your earning potential, like all of that. But then we talk about, I show them examples of our students' work, our faculty work, and then I talk to them about what our alumni have gone on to do as artists. Because, many times people say that, you're going to be a starving artist. There's no money in the arts, but we have students that have gone on to be technical directors for Pixar, that are working for video game companies, that are working for animation companies, that are fine artists. You all know Antoinette Colley. She was our resident artist here who did the 9-story James Baldwin mural downtown. We have a lot of our artists who are successful, and we reach out to the students to let them know that there is a place for them if art is what they really care about. And even if art isn't what they want to do, that their education is something that they should care about. And I've visited up to 16 schools a year in the past. I'm trying to pare that down a little bit and just stay closer to MCC now, but we do a robust outreach program.
And then we also do have, every year we have our Chroma exhibition, which is high school students. It's during the summer. And again, Ginger was instrumental in getting this established. But students have an opportunity to see their works here at the college. They get to come and visit, and they also can have the potential to earn scholarships as well to MCC.
What about supplies that students need? How's that work? Do they have to buy their own? Does it come with the class? Is there a lab fee? How's that work?
It's a combination. So the students buy supplies, but many of the classes have lab fees as well so that we can provide some materials for them. A lot of the students, they're waiting on financial aid or they just simply can't afford to buy the supplies. So we try and make sure that they don't fall behind by helping them out.
Yeah, and same with digital. We make sure that we have the software available for them to use here. We do what we can to make it so that it's not any sort of a barrier for them.
Is the ceramic department still going?
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing.
It's alive and well and strong, and we can't accommodate all the people who want to take the classes.
In fact, Empty Bowls is coming up in October.
Empty Bowls.
Yes.
Yeah. I have a wall in front of my house, and I have all these empty bowls over the years. It's like there's like 40 pieces out in front of my house. And I want to put up I meant to put up a sign, take one. I haven't, so they're just kind of sitting there. I love to watch the ceramic. There used to be the lady who ran that program. She also had horses.
Yeah, it was Linda Speranza. She's still an adjunct for us. And now Angel Luna is in charge of the program, and he's incredible. But yeah, she still works here too. We've just got a really strong ceramic program.
Yeah, they do amazing work. I want to say a few things here. About the digital space or something.
Yeah, the digital space.
Maybe about the class hey, Keegan, what class do you teach?
Well, I teach AVC 178, Digital Arts Studies. One thing I try to do is keep everything methods that are agnostic to a specific platform. So although there might be a better method to do something in After Effects or Premiere, something I want to do when I'm teaching with After Effects and Premiere in the class is to make sure that whatever concepts I'm teaching are replicatable in other software. So focusing on the X, Y, and Z, and time, of course, that dimension. anchor points, corner pins, dynamically linking, referencing files as opposed to programs having the files embedded in them. That's essentially, you see a lot of the same things happening in all of these pieces of software, whether you're using Krita or Photoshop or Procreate. They all have blending modes, and all of these blending modes mean something. You've got multiply and divide and subtract and add, and these are all just adding the numbers of the RGB values to each other. And so if you know how to take a piece of text with a white background and then throw the multiplier screen on that in one program, you can do it in any program. And so all of these methods are just transferable. Vector, raster, it doesn't matter whether you're using this vector program or that vector program, they all essentially work the same way because we're not actually teaching the tool, we're teaching the craft. And then the better that you get at your craft, the better you can get at explaining the things that you want to explain with said medium.
And students love playing in that field. Like, this is my teaching board over here. Keegan hasn't started working on his yet this semester. But, all the basic, everything that he just went through, those layers, we start to teach in my English classes because we're also what we call modernizing the written word. So students do a research project, but they also do a real short documentary at the end to express their findings and recommendations once they resolve their research question. And so on that board over there, everything that he was just talking about, we go. But what Keegan does is, I'm X, Y, and basic 3D. And then Keegan takes it to that next level of 3D, 3D plus time. I like the way
2D, yeah.
When I was in film school, they were still only teaching Avid. Second semester that I was in film school, SEC bought Premiere, Adobe products. And I struggled, and Keegan was over there. He was the lab tech over there at the time with Avid. I mean, the interface, everything about it, my brain just wouldn't function. And Rocky, our buddy, he goes, "Hey man, let me show you this thing." And he popped up the first disc of Adobe Premiere. And I literally felt the cells in my brain start going, bang, 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 bang. And I looked at it, it's like, I know how this works. You know what I mean? Like, I could see all of the sequence layers and the bends and the effects and like the audio and how Bridge was working, dynamic link to take still photos, and you could move in and out, and it was just like boom, and I always found that really fascinating. And so after all these years and then learning from Keegan all these years, I went back to Avid. Nope, same thing. Looks like a big pile. Big pile of rocks to me. Like, how does this thing work?
It is a non-standard way of video editing. If you know Avid, you know how to do it in Avid, and it doesn't. The skills don't transfer. So again, making sure that we're teaching methods and concepts where the skills can transfer.
Right.
Yeah, because they don't with Avid.
And we worked with Adobe, some of the engineers in San Jose around Adobe Express, like early on when it was, what was it? Before it was Express.
Oh, it was Spark.
Adobe Spark. So they took the chancellor and I and some students, we went up to San Jose and got to meet all the guys who were coding all of that. And they asked us some things they could improve, and we told them. By the end of the day, they brought us back and they had did it, and it's still there today.
Cool.
Focal point. Yeah,
wow.
That's our claim to fame, right? But then they started taking Express, and it was a mess. And this week, was it this week or last Thursday?
Yeah, it was last week.
Last Thursday. So we introduced Express. We had 2 classes in here, and they fixed it. And I was like, oh, okay, my brain can relax.
Transitionary period between Spark and trying to compete with Canva, that was interesting.
That's exactly what they were doing. But they finally, whoever is up there, they finally got the rhythm of their interface of where their sliders are, and where their assets are, and where
the design language.
Yes.
Which is then another way of communicating
there you
graphic
go.
design, so that somebody can look at something and go, oh, I know where everything is, and if I don't know where it is, the design language is fluent enough that I can know where it's supposed to be.
And the reason I bring that up is because that was the big sell on AI and the emergence of an intelligent computer, is that it was supposed to free us from the mundane part of the process, that we could be more exploring the bigger creativity, in that project. Now, I don't know if that's a sales pitch or not, but I know that when it's not distracting and you're working in film like I do, it's really nice,
Yeah, sure.
But if it's distracting, it's just grueling and painful. You know what I mean?
Well, we were talking with Brenda Newhouse, our occupational program director for digital arts, just yesterday about that. And she was saying that AI is being used by graphic designers, but not to create the idea, to help with the process part. So it's super helpful, and it can, take the idea and create a social media post for you from it, or can take the logo that you made and do a mock-up for you. So it's really going to be used as a tool to save time, which saves money, but it's not replacing the artistic part of it.
Yeah, you still need that person in there doing some of what you were talking about earlier, Keegan. Yeah.
And I've found that too. Like if I'm writing CSS classes, which are just, it's the graphic design language. If I'm writing a couple CSS classes and I don't want to type out, the 10 other colors I'm going to be using, I will just give it an example, and then I'll say, okay, now I want you to write the rest of these classes with these color codes and just make variations of each one. All on my instructions, not generating anything new. Granted, I have done that before in Excel with concatenation, but yeah, so it's not producing anything new, but it's helping you type out what you already wanted to make faster.
One way I've used it in my own classes that's been super helpful is I make sure all my lessons are in Spanish and English, and I know Spanish pretty well, and I give my introduction video in Spanish and English so that both speakers can be comfortable. But me translating, 5 paragraphs from English to Spanish is going to take me a long time because I'm thinking about the grammar. I'm still probably not going to get it right. So I will copy and paste that into ChatGPT and say, can you translate this into Spanish? And then I'll translate it back to make sure it's saying the right thing, and then I can just put that into my lesson in a much quicker and easier and more efficient way than it would be me trying to translate it myself. So that's been super helpful for me.
Do you feel as professionals we have an obligation to note that we use that process, or no?
Sure. I put it in the syllabus.
Oh, you do?
And
okay.
And we also, in my online class, we use Packback for our discussions, which is an AI program that helps the students with their grammar and and it helps them with making sure they're citing resources, making sure they're showing images. And they have the question. The students ask a question and they answer each other's questions. So the students know that we do use an AI program in the class, but they have to give their opinions on it. So they know that we're using it, but in our syllabus, it's listed out like this is how we use AI.
So, hey, it's a good place to give Jaime Herrera a shout out.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Jaime.
Yes.
So tell us about your work down in Mexico this summer. How did it go?
So this summer we worked with the University of Guanajuato with Miguel Zambrano and students from the university, and we spent the last year working on the project. Keegan helped with it. We had Memo Gutierrez working with us. We had Harmony Turley working with us. And the students created, Brad Jirovec from Technologies, the students created 3 large-scale murals. 2 of them were 6 by 15 and one was 6 by 10. We 3D printed 2 large sculptures, and Brad had 4 3D printers going 24/7 for 6 weeks. Wow. And in the end, they had to use their own printers and add 2 more printers. They're about 4 feet high. And then the students sanded them, painted them and into what they wanted them to be. We had a series of 3D masks. So it was masks that were kind of traditional looking, but we put 3D lenses in them that worked on the properties of warm and cool colors to create a 3D space when you looked at the murals. and then a series of photographs of what we did with the students. So when their students came here, we went to the Grand Canyon, we went to Sedona, we kayaked on the Salt River and saw horses and wild horses. Had a lot of fun, took them downtown to do some things. And then when we went, and we showed the work in 2 spots. We showed in the Mesa Community College Art Gallery. Tracy Blocker and Renee Moosley were amazing in helping us set up a really beautiful show. And then we took the show to the Walter Warehouse Gallery downtown, and that was just a big fun, kind of a big party place. But they show and sell a lot of art there, so a ton of people saw it. And then we went down to the University of Guanajuato to show the art, and we ran into a little bit of a hiccup in that the Mexican customs in the town close to where we were, they wouldn't send the art all the way. They kept it, and they still have it to this day. We had our show planned, we had radio interviews, we had everything ready to go, and we were panicking. What are we going to do? We weren't going to get the art in time, but the students from the University of Guanajuato were so resourceful and resilient that they recreated the entire show in virtual reality. And so everyone could go in, put on the goggles, see the whole show. We reprinted the murals in a smaller scale so that you could see what they look like. We still had the masks that you could look through, but you could go in and see the whole show. We got to take it to some galleries in León as well as the University of Guanajuato. We were able to give our radio interviews. So it was a huge success, even though the physical art never made it. And we're still trying to get it back. Haim has been amazing in helping us along the way. Jen Seidel-Madowski as well. Our president, Dr. Danielle, was supportive of this project. It's been amazing collaboration, even though we had that issue. It was still a success.
Somebody's getting to enjoy it. Right?
Somebody's getting
Well, let's hope, right?
Yeah.
Let's hope something good's coming out of it.
All right. Yeah, well, there you go. What a great cultural experience. A real one.
And it looks like we'll be working on more things together in the coming months.
Oh, excellent. That's wonderful.
You know, that's one of the coolest things I think about art and what we do in our departments is it gives you so many opportunities for students to connect with other people, other cultures, whether it's just through learning about the art or actually physically going there. We also do a study abroad program in Italy most summers where we take students, they do art history, and we partner with Puvana Ganesan from communication. So I think that's like art almost makes you have to do that. And I think it's one of the benefits of being in our department. We get to do that for students.
All right here at Mesa Community College.
You bet.
Yeah, mom and dad, send your kids on over.
For sure.
They'll get to go to Mexico, and Italy, Spain, and Ireland.
Japan.
All over the
Japan,
place. Yeah.
France.
And kayak
Mexico.
the Salt River.
Namibia sometimes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Namibia.
Yeah.
Where?
Namibia.
And
Last year
Africa.
we had a program there. Yeah, not art, but MCC does a really great job of getting students the opportunity to study in different places, different cultures.
Did you fly into Mexico City or did you fly into Guanajuato?
We went straight to Guanajuato, but for the faculty global engagement program, we do spend time in Mexico City first.
Okay.
Where is the airport in Guanajuato?
It's actually in León,
Okay.
which is near.
Because the nature of the city, it's a huge bowl.
It's actually a whole bunch of hills, and it's really quite beautiful. All the houses are different colors, all the buildings are different colors with classical architecture in the main squares and gardens, and a really beautiful cultural spot. But yeah, León's a large city that's close by, and we just it's about a 45-minute drive.
Well, I'm going next year for sure. That's my bucket list. I mean, I had been talking about it for 30 years, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go. And then I just never go.
I wish you could have documented our adventure this year.
Any last word? I'd like to give our guests the last word.
Well, just first of all, a shout out to the New Media Lab for all that you do to support us in the arts. We love having Keegan teaching for us. We love that you work with our students, and we are open to collaborating whenever we can with y'all.
And also, We'd like to encourage all of our employees to and students to come and take an art class, even if you've never done one before, or an art history class. You can take a class for free each semester. You want to tap into your creative side and create some art.
Ginger, Lindsay, Keegan, thank you for this great podcast. I've really enjoyed it. It's been something I've wanted to do for a long time. Please come on over and enroll in an art class here at Mesa Community College. As they say in my dad's language, Aya aski gali ahiliga, donadago hoi, wadon wado. Take care of each other out there. We're all we have.